There's something about Michigan's North Woods, the way the fog lingers over the pines, the sound of twigs snapping just beyond the firelight. If you've ever driven those back roads late at night, maybe along M115 between Cadillac and Manistee, or deep in the black woods of the Manistee National Forest, well, you felt it too. That prickling awareness that something isn't quite right out there with you. Some folks say it's the wind. Others, they say it walks on two legs, and sometimes it grins. Tonight we open the Dark Folio to a tale from Michigan's monster file, a creature half man, half wolf, and all nightmare. They call him the Michigan Dogman. Hey there, I'm May, and welcome back to the Dark Folio. Think of this as your creepy little coffee break. We're talking folklore, hauntings, true crime, all of the delicious dark stories that make you lean in and listen a little closer. 15 to 20 minutes of the strange, the unexplained, and the absolutely fascinating. So grab your favorite mug, get comfortable, and let's dive into this darkness together. Tonight we're going to talk about the Michigan Dogman. And I hope you'll bear with me. I've got a little bit of an allergy thing going on. I got some ickiness. And I've got some creatures of the human and the doggy kind that are roaming the house as I'm trying to record tonight. So we'll see how quiet it is. All right, let's set the scene. It's 1887, northern Michigan. The state is in the midst of its lumber boom. Michigan was the nation's leading white pine producer, and logging camps stretched across the wilderness like temporary towns carved from the forest itself. And somewhere near Wexford County, a pair of lumberjacks report something that would launch more than a century of whispers. They claimed they had saw a creature standing on two legs, tall as a man, built like something ancient. It had the head of a dog or a wolf covered in dark fur, with eyes that seemed to glow in the shadows. And when it noticed them watching, it simply vanished into the trees. Now, these were hardened men. They were used to bears, wolves, long winters, longer nights. But this was different. That story spread through the lumber camps like wildfire. The men started to keep rifles by their bunks, and even the most skeptical refused to go out alone after dark. You could chalk it up to tall tales told over whiskey and lantern light, that kind of folklore that keeps the night interesting. But here's the thing, the reports kept coming, decade after decade, always in that same stretch of Michigan's wild north. And the legend, well, it wasn't new. The Michigan Dogman isn't your average werewolf story. I love a good werewolf story. For one thing, it's uniquely Michigan's, tied to the land, the forests, and the people who've walked these woods for centuries. Long before European settlers arrived, the Ottawa people along the Manistee River spoke of wolf-like spirits, shapeshifters, who guarded the wilderness and served as omens, beings that blurred the lines between man and beast, warning against disrespecting nature. And when those early settlers brought their own folklore, tales of werewolves from the old world, the two traditions seemed to merge in Michigan's dark forests. And the result was a creature that felt both ancient and distinctly American. According to the legend that formed, the Dogman is about 7 feet tall, has a canine head with blazing blue or amber eyes, and a scream that sounds like a man's cry mixed with a dog's howl. It walks on two legs, sometimes dropping to four, and it's said to move faster than any human should be able to. And here's where it gets stranger. The Dogman supposedly appears every 10 years, on years ending in 7. Folklorists trace that 10-year cycle back to those early lumber camps, where superstition ran deep and patterns were everything. The legend survived the Depression, the war years, and the rise of modern media. And then in 1987, exactly a century later, it came roaring back. Kind of makes me think of Pennywise coming back on his cycle of revenge or return. from Stephen King's It. Just a thought. In the spring of 1987, a Michigan radio DJ named Steve Cook at WTCM in Traverse City decided to write an April Fool's song for his listeners, something fun and spooky with local flavor. He called it The Legend, a country ballad about the Dogman, mixing bits of North American folklore with a melody that stuck in your head. Cook later admitted, "I made it up completely from my own imagination as an April Fool's prank for the radio." He'd never even heard of a Michigan Dogman before writing the song. But here's where it gets wild. When Cook played it on air, his phone lines lit up. People called saying, "That's not just a song, I've seen it." He got letters, voicemails, handwritten accounts from all over the state, dating back decades before he ever wrote the song. Descriptions that matched, stories that aligned, fear that felt real. To this day, Cook says he believes the Dogman is a legend in the making. Not proof of a creature, but proof of belief. He's received over 100 reports over the years, and while he remains skeptical, he acknowledges, "I do believe people who think they saw something really did see something." Maybe the Dogman gives people a way to explain what they can't explain for themselves. Or maybe Cook accidentally stumbled onto something that was already out there, waiting in the dark. Let's talk about some of the encounters that kept the legend alive long before Steve Cook ever picked up a microphone. It's a summer day in 1937 in Paris, Michigan. 17-year-old Robert Fortney is fishing along the Muskegon River, peaceful, quiet, alone. Then suddenly, he's not. A pack of wild dogs surround him, 5 of them growling, circling. Fortney reaches for his rifle and fires a warning shot. 4 of the dogs scatter, but one doesn't. This one, larger, darker, stands up on its hind legs, 7 feet tall, and it stares at Fortney with piercing blue eyes from just 10 feet away. And then, according to Fortney's account, the creature grins. Not a snarl, a grin. Fortney fires another shot, and the thing finally bolts into the woods. Almost 50 years later, when Steve Cook played The Legend on the radio, Robert Fortney picked up the phone and called in. He'd been carrying that story his whole life. "It may be that I was just scared," he said, "but I swear that dog was smiling at me." Then in 1961, a night watchman at a manufacturing plant in Big Rapids spots something moving near the property's fence line at 3 a.m. Whatever it is, it's tall, too tall to be a dog, and it moves wrong. He later reports seeing a creature on 2 legs, canine features, watching him from the edge of the woods before vanishing. And then around 1993-94, a man known only as Ben encounters the Dogman 3 separate times in Ottawa County. Once in December 1993, he sees it standing behind his parents' car in the driveway on its hind legs, only running off when he starts screaming. Another time, he witnesses the creature snatch deer in a clearing among the dunes. And once more, he spots it in the Hoffman Nature Preserve, standing behind a tree about 70 feet away, just watching. These aren't the only stories. There are hundreds more, from hikers, truckers, hunters, campers, most from Michigan's northwest counties, Manistee, Wexford, Benzie, and Allegan, and the descriptions eerily consistent. Fast forward to 2007. The internet's heating up. YouTube's exploding. People are hungry for proof. And then, out of nowhere, a grainy 8mm home movie surfaces online. It's called the Gable Film. It shows a man chopping wood, working on his truck, kids riding snowmobiles, typical family footage from what looks like the 1970s. And then something charges the camera. The film cuts to black just as a wolf-like creature lunges at the lens. It spreads like wildfire. Michigan forums, early cryptid blogs, and even MonsterQuest on the History Channel pick it up. For a while it seemed like proof, until Mike Agrusa, the filmmaker, came forward and admitted he'd faked it as a tribute to the Dogman myth. And here's the thing, even then people weren't disappointed. If anything, the hoax only made the Dogman more famous and the folklore stronger, because belief doesn't need proof, It just needs a good story. Today, Dogman encounters continue, especially in Michigan's northern wilderness. Modern TV shows have covered it. MonsterQuest, Expedition X, Fact or Faked, Monsters and Mysteries in America. You can't scroll TikTok or YouTube for long without someone posting new trail cam evidence or supposed encounters in the dark woods. There are podcasts dedicated to it. Dogman Encounters Radio, Monsters Among Us, Cryptid Creatures. The Michigan History Center has an exhibit on the legend. And in 2011, filmmaker Rich Brower released Dogman, a feature film starring Larry Joe Campbell that premiered at the State Theater in Traverse City. Whether real or not, the Dogman has become one of America's most enduring cryptids, right alongside Bigfoot and Mothman. Of course, not everyone's buying it. Wildlife experts have theories. Some say Dogman sightings could be misidentified wolves or bears, especially one with mange that gives them a strange humanoid look when standing upright. Others point to the power of suggestion, that when people expect to see something strange in the woods, they often do. There's also pareidolia, our brain's tendency to see patterns, especially faces and familiar shapes in random stimuli. You're probably going to hear me say the word pareidolia a lot if you listen to this podcast very often, because it seems like pareidolia is one of the number one skeptical responses to anything that has to do with anything people can't explain. They just chalk it up to pareidolia, something that where our eyes and minds playing tricks on us. And let's be honest, Michigan's lumber camps in the 1880s, those men worked long, brutal hours and weren't strangers to whiskey. Exhaustion, isolation, and alcohol can play tricks on the mind. But then again, if every story were just imagination, why do they sound so similar across all those decades? Why do so many people, from teenagers to veterans, hunters to night watchmen, swear that they say they saw the same thing? Maybe it's because Michigan's forests are so vast, so ancient, and so quiet that the mind fills in the blanks. Or maybe, just maybe, some legends really do walk among us. Whether you see the Dogman as Michigan's most famous cryptid or its most fascinating campfire story, it's undeniably woven into the state's cultural DNA. From 1887 to 1987 to today, the legends keep evolving, from loggers to radio listeners to YouTubers. Each generation retells it, reshapes it, keeps it alive. That's the thing about monsters. Even if you don't believe in them, you can't quite let them go. So next time you're driving through Michigan's back roads, with the windows down and the moon high, and you hear something pacing your car just out of sight, well, maybe keep your eyes on the tree line, because some stories don't stay in the past, and some grins, well, you never forget. Next time on the Dark Folio, we're opening the dark ledger for a creepy true crime case that sounds like pure nightmare fuel, but it's real. A teenage girl, strange phone calls, and the horrifying discovery that someone has been living inside her walls, watching her every move. The Boy in the Walls, Daniel LaPlante. You might want to check your closets before you go to bed. Thanks for spending your coffee break with me into the Dark Folio. If you enjoyed this little dive into the strange and unexplained, make sure you follow the show. There are many more stories waiting in the shadows. You can find the Dark Folio on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, basically all of the places you find your podcast. And you can even jump on over to YouTube where you can find it. I would love if you would take the 3 seconds it would take. Follow the show on whatever platform you listen to. Follow, like, comment. I'd love to hear from you. Maybe share it with someone who appreciates a good chill down their spine. That would mean the world to me. If you've got your own encounter with the unexplained, man, reach out and tell me. You might even hear your story in a future episode. That's what got me started on all of this stuff a long time ago. Sharing stories of the creepy and the unexplained with other people and talking about it. So, yeah, please reach out and tell me. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your coffee strong, and remember, The best mysteries are the ones that never quite let you go. I may keep that flashlight handy, just in case.